Hey folks, it's Maxwell here and welcome to a brand new TW9 video. You join us for the 2nd of April edition of Dynamite before we head into the rest of the shows this week. We're going straight into it. We are straight into some action on our first Dynamite, a show that's going to contain 4 matches in the Super Shine Grand Prix, plus a stellar main event between Bryan Danielson and Roderick Strong. But we have that match with set up the other show there, which is of course Kenny Omega and Ricochet taking on Lashley and Benjamin from the Hurt Syndicate. And this one had a good matchup, and the Hurt Syndicate picked up the win. That's Lashley and Benjamin over Omega and Ricochet in 14-18 when Bobby Lashley pinned Ricochet with the Dominator. So pretty good stuff there. Kenny with a 79, Ricochet with a 75. Shelton brings a 60, Bobby brings a 64. Ricochet storyline advances. Overall it was a 70. Likely we're probably heading towards Omega versus Lashley at Dynasty. Some matches might click, some won't. Some just happen to go this way storyline wise. Some stuff I don't plan and just comes together. But it's looking likely we are going to see that one at Dynasty. So good win there for the Hurt Syndicate as they continue a run of momentum. Then had a little segment here. We had some words from Hangman Adam Page. Obviously his feud with Darby Allin's on for months. They still hate each other. And Hangman says he will not rest. He will not stop. He is just completely obsessed with beating Darby Allin. Once his hand is raised and Darby Allin is on the ground, that is when he can be finally satisfied and moved on with his life. He's hoping that him and Darby will have another brutal encounter at Dynasty. They've done the Exploding Death match. There's not really much more he can top it, but he has one idea that may be that, and that is obviously a cage match. Now, I'm comparing it just because of the severity of the cage match with him and Swerve. He's going to use that as inspiration to how dastardly he can be, how evil he can be, and the extremes he'll go to beat Darby Allin. So promo was a 71. Okay stuff. Next up we had the Super Shine Elite Grand Prix, Group D, and we had a decent match up here that saw Chris Statlander defeat Saru Inoi in 8:43 with the Area 451. Decent stuff here, 64 overall. Both ladies pretty similar in terms of their performance, but Stat picks up the 3 points. I then had a little small segment backstage where we got Shelton and MVP talking, and then out of nowhere pops up Charlie Haas. He shakes Shelton's hand, he says it's good to see him, but it is his final run. He has a duty to retire and he wants to go out against his friend. So he says this Saturday, Collision, Charlie Haas versus Shelton Benjamin. So I got the news that he was retiring in 3 months. I thought, you know what, you could see AEW bringing somebody in for one match just to kind of fulfill that retirement kind of thing. So we are going to see on Collision Shelton Benjamin versus Charlie Haas in a one-off match. So that's a 52. MVP looked good. Then a little altercation backstage between Athena and Saraya. Basically Saraya goads Athena into putting her TBS championship on the line. So not only will this be a Super Shine Elite Grand Prix match, but it'll also see the TBS championship on the line. So that altercation got a 60. And the matchup itself was a wild brawl. It obviously didn't suit Saraya, but it does suit Athena's style. And she wins in 7:38 with the O-Face, giving her 7th defence of the TBS title. It was about 42 days since she had last defended it, so I felt like it was a good opportunity to put that belt on the line. She gets 3 points, and the segment rating is a 65. So not bad stuff. Saraya still in extremely poor form. To the contrast, Athena is in amazing form. We moved on to Group C, and we had an extremely short match where Mariah May picked up a dominating victory over Ryo Mizunami in 4:55 with the reverse bulldog. I made it storytelling because of the short nature, although 59 overall is okay. And they had good chemistry and that boosted a little bit. So good stuff there. Mariah picks up another 3 points. Then a little segment backstage where the bastard Pac gives up to Sami Zayn and basically says to him, "So Sami, we've got a lot of history and I think it's about time we look to revisit that. Next week on Dynamite, Pac versus Sami Zayn." And Sami goes, "You know what, we do have a good history together. And obviously you are aligned with Moxley, you're aligned on that faction. I'm aligned with Bryan Danielson, so I have no issue with showing the AEW audience just how good I am. We'll have that match up next week on Dynamite." Next up, we're about to had some great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd. Swerve Strickland picked up the win over Rocky Romero in 9:28 with the Swerve Stomp. Made it short, made it sweet, made it steal the show. 85 for Swerve is fantastic, and a 70 rated matchup overall. I think if we gave it a bit more time, we probably could have saw it even higher, considering the wrestling was a 76. But again, just giving Swerve some positive momentum going forward. After this, Will Ospreay comes out and he basically applauds Swerve, and he says, "When we get to Dynasty, let's up the ante. Let's put the number one contendership contract above the ring. Let's make this a ladder match. Let's truly go out and see who is truly the best in AEW." And he says, "Not only that, but I've got to right a wrong against Jack Perry. So this Saturday night on Collision, I'm going to have a rematch with Jack Perry. As I say, no interference with Swerve, and I'm going to look to pick up the victory." So a 60 for it, not the best. I was kind of hoping it would be a bit better. But it means we can officially book in Ospreay versus Swerve at Dynasty in a ladder match. And we can also book in Ospreay versus Jack Perry for Collision this Saturday, the rematch against the Scapegoat. We then had a Super Shine Elite Grand Prix Group A match, and it was a good wrestling match with a decent reaction from the crowd as Tony Storm defeated Fujimoto in 13:47 with a strong 0. Obviously Fujimoto not the most over in the US, but matches like this will certainly help. And a 69 overall is pretty good stuff, with Tony picking up a victory and 3 points, putting more pressure on Mercedes Moné. Then I had a little segment backstage where it was just MJF cutting some words on Daniel Garcia. Basically calls him a poor, just says, you know what I mean, like he has to go all these vicious ways. Well, maybe MJF needs to go a bit vicious, and he's going to look to try and break the neck of Daniel Garcia and take away his TNT Championship at Wrestle Dynasty. I'm weird where I want to go with this. Like, I want them to feud, but I don't want the TNT title involved because I believe MJF is well above it. So, we'll see how we go with that storyline. There might have to be a wee swerve just before it. And, wow, there we go. This one worked. So, I've decided, like, if it's a really good main event, it goes over 20 minutes to try and challenge for, like, 100 rated matches. I know it's going to take a bit of time, and obviously where we are in terms of popularity, we're not near it. But seeing that means we are getting closer. We had a technical masterclass that had superb wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd as the American Dragon Bryan Danielson defeats the Undisputed Kingdom's Roderick Strong in 20:55 by submission with a cattle mutilation. 83 wrestling, 53 crowd, but a 92 overall. Bryan brought a 92, Roddy brought a 74. The storyline advances. Both guys had great chemistry, so that boosted their performances. I made it, obviously you can see, technical masterclass. I made it slow build. I made it open to give Roddy a fair amount of stuff as well. And both guys delivered. Absolutely delighted with that one, although it kind of covers for a lack of good promo on this show. We finished the show basically with a complete brawl between Danielson. Moxley comes out, he starts fighting. Then we get Adam Cole coming out, he starts fighting, defending Roddy. And Jay-White as well. Proper four-way brawl. It is basically to set up that four-way matchup we're going to have at Dynasty between the faction leaders. I could have maybe made it like a fatal four-way tag match with some people in their factions and then had the fatal four-way double or nothing. But we'll go with the four-way and we'll see how that goes for there. So at least I know at the moment we definitely have MJF Garcia. We definitely have Christian versus Orange Cassidy, which can even leave off the shows because of that stacked because of the women's tournament stuff. This four-way, Hyman v Darby, and obviously Ospreay, Swerve as well, and probably Kenny and Lashley. And that's us still with a few weeks to build. So exciting stuff there. Show itself 85, and that increase of popularity in 52 regions, so basically across the world. I don't think it's a particularly great show. It is basically saved by that one main event. So that's what I like about running this kind of the way I run my product is it puts a lot of pressure on the main event, but it lets you experiment so much with the rest of your card. So delighted with that one. Before we head to Rampage, have we got any locker room incidents? Vikingo and Excalibur are furious with each other, and that's it. Over to Rampage we go. So we move on to Collision from the Jersey Mike's Arena, and we start with some sad news in the save. And obviously not too long ago we lost good old JR. We already have him in the Hall of Fame. Brody Lee has passed away, obviously we know about that, he's in our Hall of Fame. the other person in our Hall of Fame is Sting, and sadly in game he has passed away. So we started Collision, Darby Allin comes out, pays tribute to Sting, thanks him, says he believed in him, they had some great memories together, and he's going to dedicate the rest of his AEW career to the Sting and hopes he does him proud. He's going to capture that AEW World Championship again for Sting. He says in talks with Tony Schiavone and Tony Khan when the time is right, we'll have some sort of Sting tribute show. I'm kind of aiming that to be between Dynasty and Double or Nothing, maybe the first or second week of May, and hopefully we'll have some bangers. But yeah, pretty sad that 3 people in our Hall of Fame, all 3 of them have passed away. Because the other person that would allow me to enter is Tony Khan, which I don't want to do just yet. And obviously others, when they get a lot of main events for us, will eventually be eligible, and that's when we'll start to add them. So, bit of a sad news, but we hear from Darby Allin, and that is a 53 rated segment. So, our opening contest was a decent matchup. I had MJF in his first action of the series, and he defeated Matt Sydal in 5:47 by pinfall. Simple, short, effective match. 62 for the wrestling, 48 for the crowd, 70 for the match overall, which is good stuff. Both guys with a 62 in-ring performance. Matt Sydal and MJF had great chemistry though, and that showed in their performances. After the matchup, I basically just had MJF cutting some jibs on Daniel Garcia. Just basically calls him a bum, says like Garcia can make every threat he wants, MJF is going to stick to it, he's going to take everything away from Daniel Garcia, the TNT Championship, his career, everything. And then he's going to say, but first off, I'm going to do it to this bum. And he turns around and he starts beating down Matt Sydal. Goes to basically finish him off with a very dangerous pile driver before Daniel Garcia makes the save and chases MJF off. So a good chance to use Matt Sydal as well. A good chance to properly get into MJF versus Daniel Garcia. I don't know if I want to put a storyline on it properly, because it is going to be like a short-term feud just to kind of play off and finish off what they'd started in real life. And MJF worked the crowd well, using the freedom to improvise it. So 66, not too bad. Next up, we had a wild brawl. We had a decent reaction from the crowd, but terrible wrestling. As in the Super Shine Elite Grand Prix Group B, I had Anna Jay defeat Willow Nightingale in 10:01 by submission, the Queen Slayer. Sadly though, it was only a 40, 41 and 47. Anna Jay didn't suit the brawling style, which is fair enough. I had to make one brawling match and opted for this, because I knew it would suit Willow. But sadly, Anna was really off her game, and her and Willow didn't click, so that's not going to be a massive program in the future. But again, she's won, she's a massive work in progress, and hopefully, as I say, the matches can at least help her from a technical standpoint. But yeah, 3 points, so at least there's some positive there for Anna Jay. I decided to opt for a little hype graphic as we're building up for a matchup later tonight. A one-off appearance for Charlie Haas, as you'll see Charlie Haas versus Shelton Benjamin, former tag team partners, collide later on Collision. Next up in the Super Shine Elite Grand Prix Group A, with a decent matchup that saw Hikaru Shida defeat Taya Valkyrie in 7:43 with a Falcon Arrow. This one gathered a 64 overall, so good stuff there. A very strong Shida performance with 71. I feel sorry for Taya, she's basically been an enhancement talent at this point, but she still does her job entirely effective. Then a little phone call from Raven. The video cuts to him, he's on the phone, and he goes, "Yo Perry, it's Raven. I called him earlier. He'll be there. You'll love him. Trust me, kid. This is going to take you to another level." So Raven again doing some more helpful things for the scapegoat Jack Perry, and that's a 56. More on that later. Sadly another women's bout that didn't click. Poor matchup saw Deonna Purrazzo defeat Ryo Mizunami in 7:30 with the Fujiwara armbar, so a submission victory. This was in Group C. I try and make it one group match per show in this instance. So a 52 segment overall, 46 for Ryo, 52 for Deonna, and Virtuosa gets another 3 points. Next up, I had an extremely short matchup. I feel like I don't use them a lot, and I feel like we kind of do need to try and help get his technical attributes up. So I had Hook defeat Zack Knight in 4:22 with the Red Rum. Storytelling matchup, just plenty. Hook suplexing him and then put him in a Red Rum, basically. Simple, effective. On to the next one. Wasn't really much else to add to that one. Sadly, this one I felt would be a really good matchup, but obviously both of them don't particularly have the overness in the United States. But it was about to have some decent wrestling, but a little heat, as Risa Nakajima, defeats Yuka Sakazaki in 10:30 with a cutie special. I made it steal the show. They brought 62 and 67 level performances. The wrestling was good, but of course the crowd didn't really care too much. And the segment was a 50. I think this is a matchup where maybe after the tournament they could benefit from it. But overall, 3 points in Group D for Arisa Nakajima. Next up, we had a double segment here, and it was first off a promo from Pac, obviously building towards his matchup with Sami Zayn this coming week on Dynamite. And he just says, we do have a history, we've been through a lot of things together. Talks about, basically, but remember how dangerous I am. That was then, this is now. I am a proper bastard. Obviously, he would say it in that Geordie accent, so it'd be like bastard. But basically, just wants to keep talking about how dangerous he is. The levels, the lengths he'll go to, the levels he'll go to make sure he says, as soon as you aligned with Bryan Danielson, you created war. You're against us. The second part of the video just shows all the highlights of Pac and AEW, a proper hype package, just saying, look at all these great victories, all these great moves, just him being dangerous with the brutalizer, etc. So really painting him across as a really dangerous threat to Sami this upcoming week. So a 54 for that double segment. We aren't doing great in the segment, so I do worry we may lose pop here. Decent matchup, not a lot of heat. Shelton picks up the win over Charlie Haas in 8:23 with the paid up. I was obviously going to put our contracted talent over, but a nice feel-good factor there to get a 58 rated segment, and Charlie Haas's pretty much retirement matchup, so it's good stuff. Then I had a little promo here. I think it was a 70, so not great. Basically, it was Jon Moxley explaining the whole situation. And this basically calls out Adam Cole, calls out Bryan Danielson, calls out Switchblade Jay White. Basically talks about how it's all cute, you've all got factions and you're all deemed leaders. Adam Cole head Undisputed Kingdom, Bryan's obviously leading him, Sami and Yuta. Jay White's got the Bang Bang Gang. Moxley says, I'm not a leader. I'm just the most vocal. I've been quiet for a bit, but it feels like it's time now, that you realise just how dangerous the BCC really is. We'll eventually call them Death Riders, but together, him, Claudio, Pac, Marina Shafir, they're all equals, they're all level, and they're going to seek to dominate this company and take it over in time. Moxley's going to show he's better than Cole, he's better than Danielson, he's better than Jay White, and that's going to start the dynasty with a victory there. So I feel like I've been quite quiet with Moxley, but it is stable warfare, and maybe need to balance it a bit more because it is basically trios, and then obviously you've got the 4 in the Bang Bang Gang. And our main event, in a good matchup, Jack Perry defeats Will Ospreay in 22-22 with a Canadian Destroyer following interference and a massive gore from Rhino. During the matchup, we also had Swerve Strickland distract Ospreay. So there's a lot to explain there. So Jack Perry had another chance to go over Will Ospreay as part of a promise, which had 5 days to go. I felt like, right, we need to do this now. The plan was always to have Jack Perry as head of a stable, very similar to a Raven's Flock kind of idea. And I felt like, what kind of dangerous muscle can we get? When I first got the idea, it was when Rhino was getting his TNA Hall of Fame induction. Then I remembered, do you know what? Rhino just needs to gore people, and he looks like a beast. He'd be perfect. So he's basically just going to be that kind of guy for Jack Perry, just goring people galore, because no matter how he's been used, he just needs to gore people, and it looks vicious. Obviously, we could go way back, and that's the thing. Like I said, we go way back 2000. Like I remember him with WWF at the time. I was too young for ECW, but just like the gore of Jericho through the Tron, and it's just like it just made it look like he killed you when he done it. So I want to give a wee short-term run to Rhino. As I say, as much as it is a series online, there will be times where it's like my wee favourites just come in or people have enjoyed over the time. So you'll get the likes of Rhino. But plans more to expand. So I feel here he gets the win over Ospreay, you cover that one. You can also have the Swerve distraction, because obviously we're building towards Ospreay versus Swerve. And then that can build towards, it's a number 1 contenders match, and then you're heading towards Double or Nothing. So overall, 72 for the wrestling, 72 for the segments, so ball is pop. Crowd rating was a 58, Ospreay brought a 77, Jack Perry a 67, and Rhino debuting the Man Beast gimmick was very good. And of course, the Step storyline has advanced and gained heat, of course, between Ospreay and Swerve the Step towards the World Championship. I finished the show, and it's just basically Swerve laughing at the top of the ramp, and you just see Ospreay kind of selling the gore, hold his midriff after that elusive gore from Rhino. So a segment of 66. Lose popping 9, gaining 3. I kind of thought that one. We never really kicked on with a really good promo or any good segment. As much as MJF v Seidel seemed average, it was our second best matchup. But as I say, there's some collisions that won't be particularly amazing. I feel like at the moment we need to get the tournament done. As soon as the tournaments are done, we can start kicking on with like all storyline stuff, because I do feel we're losing too much time to it. But I committed to it. That's on me. I wanted to try and improve my women's division massively and get more people up to the top level. So, yeah, hopefully we do that. Any locker room incidents before Shockwave? We have Yuka Sakazaki and AR Fox are bonding, which is interesting. And that's about it. So I'm going to go ahead and book Shockwave now. Remember, it is mostly going to be tournament matches. So we may lose Pop here as well. We'll have mostly the women's tournament with probably a tag team main event. So on to Shockwave we go. It ends up being 6,500 fans in the Jersey Mike's Arena. We start the show with the AEW World Champion in the ring, and it is Christian Cage alongside Killswitch. Of course, the rest of the patriarchy are gone, but Killswitch and Christian are still aligned. And he says to Orange Cassidy, I want you to be in tip-top shape for our fight. I want to give you a test. I want you to be ready for a new challenge for this AEW World Championship. But at the same time, I want to see you decimated. I want to see you weakened. I want to see you destroyed by my monster, Killswitch. So basically just setting up a matchup over the course of the next week, which means it might be Dynamite, it might be Collision, it might be Shockwave, but we will see Orange Cassidy versus Killswitch. Of course, 2 weeks away from that world title match, so I feel like it's a nice wee match you can put in the build to that. 66 for the segment, storyline advances, Christian comes across well, but he also has a gimmick that's getting a little stale. Moved on to the Super Shine Elite Grand Prix Group A. And it was a decent matchup that saw Mercedes Moné defeat Gazelle Shaw in 9:16 with the bank statement. Made this storytelling, which gives you an idea of our women's matches tonight. They're quite strong. 62 overall is pretty good. Mercedes up to 68 in ring performance. I want to try and push her into the 70s. So hopefully we can get her there. We then have a little hype graphic, a little video hyping up her opponent for her next match in the tournament. And we are going to see Mercedes Moné versus Takuma Iroha, and that was a 43. I just put next week for everything, so it gives me a bit more flexibility which show I'm going to put it on, but it will be in the next video, at least that I can guarantee. Next up, we had a tag match in the Briscoes Tag Team Cup, Group B. Decent matchup saw the Kings of the Black Throne, the tag team champs, defeat Angelo Parker and Matt Menard in 6:22, when Malachi Black pinned Angelo Parker with Dante's Inferno. 68, pretty strong actually. Good stuff there, especially from the Kings of the Black Throne, as they pick up 3 points in the tag tournament. We then cut to a backstage segment. We see Mina Shirakawa standing there. Onto the screen comes Deonna Purrazzo, followed by Megan Bayne. Megan just stands there, very intimidating. Deonna decides to mock Mina. She just says that she's a true world-class technician. She is a complete level above Mina Shirakawa, and we're going to see next week when these two collide in the tournament. Mina just tells her not to overlook her, and she's going to learn why the whole world says we want Mina. So 49, hyping up Shirakawa versus Purrazzo next week in the tournament. We then had a wild brawl that had some good wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd as Athena defeats Camille in 8:21 with the top rope stunner. So 3 points for Athena in the Group B. 65 for wrestling, 51 for the crowd, and a 70 overall. So some good stuff there. Athena with a spectacular 75. So she is doing some good stuff. She basically gets a promo after the matchup. She just basically says she's on a great run. She's a TBS champion. She's like, come on, I want more matches. Who's next? Who's stepping up? Out comes Willow Nightingale, and Willow says they had a little bit of a feud back a few years ago. Willow believes she's a better performer. She knows Athena is, and they are hoping to have a banger next week as we go Athena versus Willow Nightingale in the Grand Prix. So that should be pretty good stuff there. Next up in the Women's Grand Prix, it was a Group D match, and it had some decent wrestling, but not a lot of heat. And Yuka Sakazaki picked up her first points of the tournament. She defeated Sarii in 8:43 with the Magical Girl Splash. Made it steal the show because I was a bit worried with her overness, but it was still okay. And I think a 64 is pretty acceptable considering that was Yuka off her game, really off her game. So you maybe have seen this be a 67 or a 68. So if these can go over in the States, then that's two fantastic talents we have in our women's division. Then a little segment backstage, we just cut to it basically. There's been a confrontation, and it is FTR and the Butcher and the Blade at it. They're having a big ass brawl, and it's just basically hyping up. Next week we'll have in the tag team tournament FTR versus the Butcher and the Blade, so a 52. We then went into a match up in Group C, and it had some great wrestling and a decent reaction from the crowd as Io Shirai defeated Riho in 14:35 with a German suplex hold. I made this one steal the show. I was always confident I was going to get something good from Io, which has resulted in 88, and Riho just with 59. It makes me intrigued to know how a Io Shirai Bryan Danielson match would go, because I'm genuinely convinced it could be out of the 90s. I'm so tempted. But a 75 overall is pretty good stuff. Io's been a tremendous hire for us. But it's good that we've in this show been able to get a lot of stuff built for next week, and at the same time really pushing this tournament strong. But main event time is the tag team division, and it was a superb wrestling match with a decent reaction from the crowd as Aussie Open defeated the Lucha Bros in 13:38 when Kyle Fletcher defeated Penta with the Coriolis. I also made this one steal the show, maybe abused it a bit much. But 82 for the wrestling's good. You can see some great performances in there. Fletcher 83, Penta 82, Rey Fenix with 92. So the reason why it's only a 75, sadly we had to protect Penta, but it was a risk I was willing to take to at least get Kyle Fletcher a bit over. And that is 3 points in Group A. I think we always pop here. We never really had a strong promo, like a main event level one. 2 matches in the 70s. I think we might look at about a 70 rated show. A 71. So we lose popularity in 9, so again that mostly with the States, but we do increase our popularity in 37. Again, it's one of those ones, I'm happy to take the small loss in certain times. Every show can't be a success, but if it gets more workers over, gets them better technically, gets them better characters, then long term it's going to be. And of course we don't really do many storyline stuff here, it's just the tournament. So overall, an okay episode. We've basically had, what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tournament matches. I think we can be encouraged by that. 2 in the tag tournament and 4 in the women's tournament. Financial report: 2.6 million profits, up to 102 million. Popularity: we're still in a good place. 72 across the States. We're improving across Europe, Oceania, Japan, Mexico. So that's good. Yeah, we'll jump back to the main screen. If we quick overlook over a few things here, I want to take a look at the tournament standings, and also going to take a look at Megan Bayne and Anna Jay, because these are two that I feel are really benefiting from having this tournament. Not just in their popularity, but in terms of their technical and their mental stuff as well, because obviously the psychology is going to be a big, massive factor, because sometimes you just don't get that, and it can really make a lot of matches suffer. So Chillahas is gone. That was a one-off appearance. We know about that one. Chase Owens is in an argument with Tenzin. Shockwave, drawn a lot of praise. Collision, drawn a lot of praise. Good to see. Anything else that directly affects us? No, not really. 1 million viewers for Collision. 4.2 for Shockwave. It is just on our network. And Io Shirai says Megan Bayne's going to be a star. So let's actually take a look at this to start with. So if I go to our skills, obviously we'd only started the tournament like last month, so you can only really say she's +1, but if you look at it from that perspective, +4 in brawling, +5 in Puroso, +7 in hardcore, +6 in technical, +7 in aerial, and +7 in flashiness. Psychology's up 7. Experience 3. Respect 4. Charisma up 4. Microphone up 4. Acting's up 3. Everything else stays the same, of course. The basics are up 12. So that's a big thing. The selling's up 2. Consistency's up 13. And safety's up 7. So those fundamentals are good. But even here, stamina up 6. And that's the only real gain there. But it's just wee stuff like that. And then, of course, we've got our popularity. Started as a 24, 26. And you can see here you're at the lower 40s. So stuff I'm really, really happy with. And if we go to Anna J, to her skills, because again, like you're going for basically base with these. Obviously, Anna J's got the benefit of being a protege of QT Marshall. She's obviously got his training drills as well. 2 in brawling, 5 in Puresu, or Puresu, how you pronounce it. 5 in hardcore, 3 in technical, 5 in aerial, and 2 in flashiness. Psychology's up 9. Experience is up 3. Respect is up 1. Reputation is up 2. Charisma's up 1. Microphone up 2. Acting's up 1. Star quality and sex appeal don't change, neither does menace. Basics up 6. Selling up 5. Consistency up 8. And the safety up 6. So, good stuff there. 5 for stamina. The rest stays the same. And for her popularity, started at 36 across the board. And is currently up at 41. So I'm reasonably happy with that. And of course, match history. She's only the AEW matches, and she's had 14, 7 wins, and 7 losses. So, best obviously when she's been carried off of Yamashita, but good matches in there with Yuka as well. So, definitely these are going to be like projects, but I'm certainly hoping they're 2 that we can certainly work with in our women's division. So last but not least, we'll quickly jump to the tournament roundup, as we like to do. So Aussie Open with a commanding lead in Group A. They really need to, well, see it out with wins over Top Flight and the Outrunners, so Top Flight could be a curveball. Group B, FTR trail the Kings of the Black Throne, but not a good tournament so far for Angelo Parker and Matt Menard. And in this one, the Young Bucks have won 1 and 1 defeat. The Guns have 2 from 2. And yet to go off the mark are the Grizzled Young Veterans in Reynolds and Silver. Ideally, this tournament will be done like the women's tournament for double or nothing. In the women's tournament, you can see the Mercedes Moné leads the way, 5 wins from 6. You've also got 4 wins from 4 for Toni Storm. You've got 4 wins from 5 for Hikaru Shida. And you've got 4 wins from 6 for Fujimoto. So it's going to be intriguing to see how that goes. Fujimoto still has to face Shida and Aroha and Gazelle Shaw, so she's in a good place. Athena has 5 wins from 5. Jamie Hayter has 4 from 4. Anna Jay has 3 from 4. It probably doesn't help that the top seeds are up the top, so you have a rough idea of like why they are always the highest numbers. Mariah May 4 from 4. Io Shirai 5 from 5. Donna Purrazzo 3 from 4, as is Mina Shirakawa. At the other end, it's not been a good tournament for Rio Mizunami. And in Group D, 5 wins from 5 from Britt Baker, 4 from 4 for Statlander, 3 from 5 for Marina Shafir, and 3 from 4 for Megan Bain. I think the plan is still top 4 will face each other either in like a semi-final then final, or I'll just do a fatal 4-way to have the Grand Prix winner. But yeah, I don't even know who's going to win the groups. I'm just going to wait to get to the last couple of matches and then go, aye, that'll do. And then we'll pick the ultimate one to be the winner. But quite encouraged with some stuff there. We're certainly getting people over, as I say. Athena's definitely benefited from it, and hopefully a few of the ones that maybe haven't had wins have maybe just developed good technical skills. So I've got that to look forward to as well. But that's it for this episode. Thanks very much for sticking with us. Say 2 more weeks of episodes, and then we're on to Dynasty. And as I say, we start May. We'll then look to do that Sting tribute show. Cotton. But one of those things, innit? April 4th, 2025. 2 days ago. So, yeah. That's the 3 folk that are in our Hall of Fame. That are obviously passed away. So, thanks for watching. A wee thumbs up would deeply appreciated. Let us know how you're getting on with your own saves. Let me know what you've been enjoying of this. And as always, Fantasy Booker subreddit, Grey Dog Software Forums, twdb.com, and bethebooker.net. But take it easy. and hopefully I'll see you for the next one. Bye bye.